example that I have is not from my own life, but from my family history. So my grandmother tells the story, and the interesting thing is that she tells it with a lot of pride. And she tells it of my great-grandmother and how when she was young, so when the missionaries came to Kenya, what they did mostly was set up mission stations. And those mission stations were the operation base of the missionaries and where people would go if they wanted to become Christians. So my great-grandmother decided that she wants to become a Christian. But it's important to recognize that in that time, Christian, the word Christian was translated essentially to a read one, like someone who could read. And so to become a Christian was very strongly associated with being able to read. It was someone who could learn how to, the magic of words on paper is what they called it, the witchcraft. And so she left her home, she left her people, and she went to the mission station. And the first thing that they did when you arrived at the mission station, as a woman, if you were a man, you were allowed to enter and leave, but as a woman, you had to stay. They took off all of your skins, so your traditional clothes that you were wearing, and they sewed up your ears, because as Kikuyu women, we used to have the elongated ears as one of our customs, and they shaved off all your hair. And then they gave you Western clothing, and they started teaching you how to read and basically how to live your life now on the mission station as a person who has now come into the Western culture. And my grandmother says it with a lot of pride, because that was a huge thing for my great-grandmother to do. And that meant that my family has now been Christian for many generations. But it also meant that the second she stepped into that, she said goodbye to her religions, to her traditions, to her culture, to her family. She couldn't just go back and visit them, and she had to leave behind that. And that means that for me, growing up, I didn't have any connection to our traditional customs, because it was held up as two options. You either are Kikuyu and you don't have anything to do with Christianity, or you are a Christian and you don't have anything to do with Kikuyu culture. Yeah. And that's a constant tension even today in Kenya, but then more broadly in Africa, of how do I be an African and a Christian when for so long we were told that you can't have both.